today because we have all these varieties and expressions of the healing energy. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. Everyone here, all people out there that channel healing energy, find a comfort zone for themselves. They resonate, they express what feels good to them. But what I wanted to talk about today are the building blocks of healing and how it works and today because we have all these varieties and expressions of the healing energy. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. Everyone here, all people out there that channel healing energy, find a comfort zone for themselves. They resonate, they express what feels good to them. But what I wanted to talk about today are the building blocks of healing and how it works at an energetic level. Because that's all the healers are channelers of this divine energy, and you need to know how and why this works. The primary key to the mechanics of healing is to understand the truth of who you are as well as the truth of us all. Before you became incarnate in this world, you were a field of energy. Everything is a field of energy. This podium is a field of energy. And that's the real truth behind the illusion. We're all aware of the experiments of the thoughts being sent to water. And they send thoughts of love and the water becomes as beautiful as a snowflake. You send thoughts of hate and it's gross and it's disgusting. I can't remember the guy's name, but you know who I'm talking about. Okay. Well, as a group at Harmony Fellowship, we already are beginning to understand that. And in meditation, when we raise our own energy of the truth and the perfection of us and send this out, we're already on the pathway, and we are acting as channelers of this healing energy. In the Dancing Woolly Masters, Gary Zukav says, according to quantum field theory, fields alone are real. They are the substance of the universe and not matter. That's what we are, matter, physical matter. Matter, the particles of substance, is simply the momentary manifestation of interacting fields, which intangible and insubstantial as they are the only real things in the universe. So this little podium is just interacting molecules of energy. And this is our disguise as physical beings. It may be a momentary manifestation, but it sure feels real when you stub your toe. Illusory as it is, matter is part of our Earth school. I don't know who has that back there. They stole my thunder when they started talking about Earth school. Well, anyway, I think that in understanding energy and matter, I think it's the 8th grade in Earth school. So it's a gift to learn about our own mastery. We are not bodies, we are a field of energy. We can call it soul, spirit, God. We can call it anything we want. But it's our ultimate truth that we are fields of energy. And knowing this is the first step in our own healing and the ability to channel energy to affect someone else. And when I talk about knowing, it's not knowing, it's knowing. It's because the Spirit of God is incarnate in us that we have dominion over the world of effect. That's what we were born to do. That's our right. If we come from God as energy, we come in with this privilege. We don't use it. Some of us do, some of us don't. Some of us do it momentarily. Many of our functions are on the automatic response system. The growing of hair, the ordinary healing of wounds, and this is your subconscious in action. The conscious is level is the level you know about. It's when you make a choice or a decision, and God willing, you're making it from a place of logic. This is the level of the physical. The superconscious is a part of you that is your higher self or the oversoul. It's consistently leading you to your most desired growth experience. Could be good, could be bad, who knows? But it's leading you there. And to have the awareness, to learn the awareness of your true being, the things that you forgot because you're enmeshed in this physical thing. We're alternately operating from one or more of these levels of consciousness, but the ultimate desire is to be operating from them all at once. For when that's called supra-consciousness, or it's called the Christ consciousness. This is from Popular Science. It's called, the name of the article was called Journey into the 10th Dimension. If the following seems ridiculous and far-fetched, or just outright outlandish to you, rest assured that it is. It will probably hurt your brain, as it hurt mine, and is most definitely hurts the brains who come up with this stuff for a living. I didn't write this. Somebody else wrote it. I thought it. The following asks you to accept ideas that are counter to the fundamental basis of our experience, the framework through which we comprehend everything from setting down a coffee cup to the arc of a home run as it sails into the upper deck. The basic point of what follows, and by the way, what follows is not fanciful provocation, but has been worked into contemporary consciousness by the brainiest physicists alive today. It is that everything you have ever experienced has in some small but significant way has been an illusion. Why? Because everything you've ever experienced, you have understood is happening in a three-dimensional world. Up, down, left, right, front, back. And a lot of people on the planet are still stuck in that three-dimensional world. And not you, Glenn. Only sometimes. He is a Taurus. But yet, this is not how things happen. Things happen in more than 3 dimensions of space, and to see them only as 3 is to succumb to a trick that the universe is constantly playing on us. The 3 dimensions, people that live in the 3 dimensions aren't even really in kindergarten of Earth school. They're in preschool. Now, what we should know is that there's no limitation on your body's ability to heal other than the belief you hold. The only reason we can't grow a new limb is because nobody told us we could. When you act as an instrument of God's healing power, you must look beyond the wounded heart. You must look beyond the damaged body, or look beyond the pain of the individual and see them as God must see them. It's like I've talked about before, the broom in the swimming pool. You throw a broom in the swimming pool, and the water's wavy, and the undulations are happening, and it's just all blurry, and that broom looks just so wobbly-jawed you can't stand it. But never for 1 minute do you forget the truth of the broom. It's such an everyday item, you know that the truth of the broom is straight and true. It's that simple to look beyond the illusion of someone's, what they're presenting to you. It's just go into the truth of their divinity. This is how you're a healer, whether it's for yourself or someone else. There are 4 steps Know the truth of your own divinity. Put your laser focus on the truth of God's perfection. And from your position as an energetic being, summon life force. It's like growing of limbs. You didn't know you could. The truth is, every day in every way, you're summoning life force to focus that laser point of energy on something. But what is it? The other one is release and let go, resting in the assurance of the divine. The result of what is happening to the individual before you is none of your business. You're simply a channel of energy. That individual is the healer. They choose at the divine intelligence of their being whether to accept the energy of healing or not. You don't know their soul story. You can provide the energy of love, but they have to choose to heal. Only we as individuals are permitted to renegotiate our own soul contract. This person that receives the energy can do that for themselves. You can't do it for them, but you can do it for yourself. That's called grace. We have the ability to choose at some point, no, I'm not going to die. It's not my time. Let's move on. That's the grace that God gives us. I've told this story before, but we have some special people here, and so I'm going to force this story on you. Several years ago, we went to New York to visit our son. And one of the reasons that we went to, what we were going to do while we were there was a young man named Jack who had hung around, like it seemed like 47,000 kids hung at our house. And this was just one of the many, and we'd seen him grow up, and he was just part of our extended family, as any of you that have children take in all these kids. But Jack had contracted AIDS. And so while we were there, my son wanted us to take the train, go out to where Jack was, and see if there was any kind of healing that I could offer him. And so that was on our agenda. But one of the first things we did, we went with Matt to the doctor's office because he had broken his leg in an audition. And he was there to get the cast-offs. And this was on a big, snooty Park Avenue doctor, as you can imagine. So we're sitting there in the waiting room while Matt's inside getting the cast-off. And so this big, giant lady from Jamaica comes in her colorful clothing and her beautiful accent. And so she's sitting there, and we start chatting. And the little receptionist comes out, and she says to the lady, "Do you have an appointment?" And the lady said, "No, I'm here to talk to these people." I wish I could do Jamaica for you, but imagine. So she turns to me and she says, "Now tomorrow, when you go, you'll have a force against you. Go into the bathroom, don't tell anyone what you're doing, wash your hands, say your prayer, come back out and do what you do in quiet." Never saw her before or since. Does it give you goosebumps? It did me. Okay, so then the next day, we go out, and there is Jack, and there is Jack's father, telling him he's being punished for his lifestyle. It was just awful for me. I was just shaking because of the injustice of it all. So I went into the bathroom. I did what I did, and I knew in there that it was hopeless, that there was nothing I could do because I could see Jack had already chosen death. He had been told that this was his punishment, and he accepted it. I made him the sandwich that he'd always enjoyed at the house. He couldn't eat it because his mouth was filled with these sarcosis, I can't remember, but little wounds in his mouth from the little cancers. And this was a crunchy sandwich. He couldn't eat it. All I could do was sit there and love Jack. So we left, and I was devastated. I was devastated that I didn't have the power to change this situation. I hadn't learned yet. It was none of my business. So, okay, that was one instance, the instance of the lady in the doctor's office, this spiritual experience. So then we went out to dinner with some friends that we had gone to see in a show, and so there were all these young people, and we were eating. And so Glenn and I glanced over at the next table, and there were these two ladies, and they were reading whatever prosperity book was out at the time. So we just started chatting across the room with them. And so they asked, were we going to go hear Eric Butterworth while we were there? And we would have liked to. We didn't know where he was or how to get there. So they gave us all this information. So when we got up and we left, we stopped at their table, and Glenn told them that they were going to be prosperous before the night was over. So on our way out, we paid their check and paid it forward. So they were. So then we went to go hear Eric Butterworth, and I'm still all worked up because I couldn't help Jack, and I'm feeling like a terrible failure that I couldn't, it was my ego, I couldn't be significant. It wasn't for me to feel significant. So during the sermon, Eric Butterworth, who's really old by then, he's sort of being held up, and he had this little tiny voice, which it was so still in there so everyone could hear what he said. And he said two things. One was, there are no incurable diseases. There are incurable people. And so I accepted that within myself, and it eased me somewhat. Then he said this other thing, which I tell it all the time. It's so great. But he was going on vacation, and his maid had the flu. And so he said, well, I'm going to give you this affirmation, and he put it on a card like this big, wrote out this big, fancy, flowery affirmation, and handed it to her. So when he got back, he said, well, I see you're better. Did you read this affirmation? And she said, well, I lost it. I couldn't remember what it said, so I just went around saying, oh, hell, I'm well. But the thing is, we need to detach ourselves because we don't know the truth. It doesn't mean we can't offer the love and the healing and heal ourselves enough to make a difference when we walk through a room, because that's really all we're responsible for. Now, there's some other parts of our lives that need healing. Maybe a little financial healing. Glenn and I do this workshop that he doesn't like it. I made up the title. So I've told him it's my intellectual property. Anyway, the title is, How Come My Metaphysical, and why ain't truth working for me? Okay, I like that. But why is it that we as folks can easily spout these homilies and these cliches that we've learned all along the way? Here are some of my favorites. Expect a miracle. Have we ever said that? Okay. Everything comes to me easily with great abundance. Or this one. There's gold dust in the air and in my purse. But notice, they all have in common that the answer's out there. It isn't out there. It's in here. How can we intellectualize abundance and yet maneuver another person out of receiving their good because we feel that there won't be enough for us? I have done this in my life. How can we intellectualize abundance and not tie back to our spiritual source? It's like we think their tithing is cheating us out of our portion, but it wasn't ever intended for that. It's an example to learn about the unlimited, unending abundance of the divine. The steps for healing that are the same. Recognize that you are pure energy, pure power. And the symbol of money is pure energy. Dollars aren't the root of happiness. They're not the root of evil either. They're the result of how somebody is aligning up their energy. So keep your laser focus on the perfection of all that is, the perfection of yourself. Don't put your laser focus on lack and the poverty in your life. Erase. All you need to know is that you are divine, and as a child of the living God, everything does flow to you and through you. It doesn't stop inside of you. You've got to let it go and bless other people. And as an energetic being, give thanks for every recognition of God's favor. In relationships, this is called keeping the lines of communication open. And the thing about finances is that whether it's a castle or a button, if you are using something as the object of your attention, you're summoning life force because that's your natural right. But what are you summoning? Remember that you're an energetic being. You came in disguised as a bag of skin and bones and flesh, but it's only a disguise. It's just what we manifest here in this physical plane. The truth of us is that we're above and beyond that. We're pure energy. You are powerful in what you summon. But please pay attention. You are an allower of what is happening in your life. Pay attention to what your actions are screaming. They talk louder than any affirmation, anything you're saying. But there's a good thing about that. If you can intellectualize about abundance, you're already on the way. It's just a small step to intellectualizing to go to knowing. Now, the healing of relationships is also the same thing, same tools. Know that you are a divine, eternal, energetic being disguised as a bag of skin and bones. But so's the other guy, a divine and energetic being disguised as a bag of skin and bones. So keep your laser focus on the perfection of each other and the magic that you generate between you if you only allow it. Delight yourself in the relationship. Rest in the truth of the divine. Anything else is none of your business. If your life partner or your business partner makes a mistake, that's your lesson. Don't make it your karma. It's their business. All you have to do is stand there and be love and express gratitude. That's all any of us want is validation. When you express gratitude to Spirit, you're in a relationship with Spirit, and you're keeping it alive by the gratitude. You're keeping your relationship alive by expressing gratitude and seeing the good. A Course in Miracles says, that which you seek to control, you do not love. We don't have the moral, spiritual, or ethical right to control anyone. Man, it's a hard enough job controlling yourself. To try and control somebody is becoming blind to their divinity. To do so shows God that you place your own judgment as being more correct than trusting in the divine. Now, I know I use this illustration over and over, but it's so poignant to me and so evocative. And it's something I read once, I don't know where or when, I just remember the phrase. The beast didn't know he was beast until he looked into the eyes of man. Do you know that that's how we heal humankind? We heal others by the reflections of themselves that they see in our eyes. They are not only looking into the windows of your soul, but they're seeing the reflection of their soul, which may not be a true picture. They don't know that they're a powerful, energetic being. All they can see is what they see reflected in you. So start looking beyond that wavy broom and know the truth of them. The points again, remember your divinity is pure energy. Focus on the perfection. You have the right to summon life force and release and let go. We need to get back to being the 3-year-old self that was so near to God that there's nothing else that's real. Everything is pure and joy and truth. Your inner being likes to offer compliments and feel appreciation. Your inner being is like that frisky 3-year-old who's eager for life's experience. That inner 3-year-old is non-judgmental. That inner 3-year-old is loving. That inner 3-year-old knows more about healing than you've forgotten. I remember that when my youngest son, Mark, was about 3, he'd fallen down, skinned his knee, some such inconsequential thing. And I said, "Come here, sweetie, let Mama kiss your boo-boo." And he said, "You don't need to do that." I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I'll send my soldiers to heal it." I said, "Really?" "Now, where do these soldiers live?" And he said, "Down here, behind my heart." That's where the pancreas lives, the one that sends out the little blood cells that eat up the invaders. So he knew, he remembered. We can release the pressures of the physical and look to the truth and remember that. So all I want to do is nudge you, call forth that remembering. It's the body's natural inclination for perfect health. So you bring your energy into alignment with the perfection of what is. Thank you.